the box, and my trouble getting it. By Bruce Tryon. The bug got stuck on the flower, but before I could see what happened next, someone touched me and I jumped. I looked around and to my surprise it was Rojas. Hi Rojas, I said. Is that all you can say? Hi. No, but I thought we were trying to keep our friendship quiet. As she stood there, the evening sunlight touched her skin. Then I looked into her eyes and lost any and all thoughts of my problems. Those eyes, those beautiful eyes, blue with a trace of green, and the iris looks red or orange, but with the sun setting it changed the color of her eyes a bit. Her hair was red and gold in the sun, making it hard to think of anything else except how beautiful she was. But it looked like you needed some help staying focused on this world and me, and not so much on the trial. But how? Your uncle has all but convicted me. I know he reinstated me, but it all hangs on the reports from the outpost. Things are not always what they seem, Rojas reassured me. Gilroy arrived and looked around at everyone sitting outside on the porch. Milroy noticed he had arrived and asked, "How's Dad?" Gilroy turned and answered, "Father's doing fine now. It was a close call. He is resting quietly." He looked at us. "Why are you all standing around out here?" "We don't have a key card," said Milroy. Gilroy laughed. "Since Fitzroy moved out, I've left the door unlocked, just in case you or the world were giving him a rough time. He could come home anytime he wanted. I told him I would leave the door unlocked just for that reason." Both Fitzroy and the captain were a little red in the face. Fitzroy turned and said, "Sorry, Captain. I forgot." We followed Gilroy into his house. He sat down and asked, "By the way, what took you so long to bring me that box of vaccine? We almost lost Dad." Milroy looked even redder in the face. "Don't ask me, ask him. It's all his fault." "Who?" "Jonub," he said. As he pointed at me, Gilroy looked at me and asked, "Okay, Jonub, what happened? Why did it take you so long to get that box to me?" "It wasn't on purpose, it just happened. All I did was hunt all around the station trying to find that box. I nearly got myself killed in the process. The captain sent me after it," I said defensively. "So brother, why did you send him after it?" inquired Gilroy. "I was really trying to keep him out of trouble," said Milroy wryly. "It didn't work, did it?" Gilroy laughed. "No, it didn't." The captain shrugged. "Jonub, you'd better tell him why it took you so long to get that box." "It's a long story," I said reluctantly. "Fine. I want to hear all of it, and with you being captain, Milroy, it should be very interesting." "Gilroy, it is a long story," Milroy remarked. "Are you sure you want to hear the whole story?" "Yes, with all the details." "Okay, Jonub, tell him." It all started a little over 12 hours ago. I had just reported to duty. I said hi to Rojas. She responded with a hi back. Then I asked Kilo if there was anything I needed to know. He just grunted as we passed each other. I was coming on duty and he was going off. I knew he didn't like being kept waiting, so I was actually a little early. He just liked doing that to aggravate me. He spoke abruptly over his shoulder as he left the bridge. Rojas will fill you in. Okay. But before I could say another word, he was gone. I turned to Rojas. What did I do? Nothing. He's been like that for about an hour or so. I think he knows something is wrong and he is a bit upset. Rojas, why did we change course? Aren't we supposed to be at Moon Base Alpha in the Dragon Star Cluster by now? Yes, Jonub, she replied. We were, but we received a private transmission for the captain a few hours ago from Argyle. He took it in his ready room. When he came out, he walked over to Kilo and whispered to him. Then Kilo, the first officer, went over to Kilos, the navigational officer, and spoke to him. Then we changed direction. After that, the captain left the bridge, Rojas said. A few minutes later, the captain walked on the bridge. The crew went silent. I want the bridge crew and the junior navigational officer to come to the mess hall in 20 minutes. He said, looking directly at me. We walked down to the mess hall. As we entered, I slipped into a seat in the back. As you are aware, we have made a course change. The captain said, we're going to pick up a box from a remote outpost in the Danube solar system. He yelled. Jonah. Yes, sir. I replied, I have a job for you. I need you to pick up that box for me, said the captain, sensing by the tone of his voice that there was something wrong. I asked, what's wrong? What am I picking up? You don't need to know. Just get it or don't come back. Because if you do return without it, you'll be floating home, he snapped. He turned to Jackson, the supply officer, and said, you should pick up a few other supplies while we are there. We can't afford to spend too much time at the outpost. Several hours later, we docked at the Durban outpost in the Danube solar system. The captain stopped me and shoved an invoice in my hand. Jonub, go to the general cargo office. They'll be able to tell you where to get this. Please hurry, he said as he pushed me out the hatch. Why? Don't it ask. Just go. Stop. Why did you send him instead of one of the family to retrieve the box? Asked Gilroy. If I had sent one of the family, they might not have made it, said Milroy. What do you mean they might not have made it? I asked. We have a slight family problem. So, I sent you instead of one of the family. You mean I was expendable? No. You were an unknown crew member, and I was hoping that you could get the box and bring it back to me without causing too much suspicion. But maybe I might have been mistaken. Oh, it sure seemed like they wanted to kill me or delay my departure. There was only a possibility of that, but the invoice had the name of the ship and the captain on it. Enough of this, Jonub. Just finish the story, said Gilroy. Okay. I looked down at the flimsy plastic and read the description of the box. As close as I could make out, it was 12 inches square with silver bands around it as well as silver handles on both ends. There was also a red cross symbol on the top of the box. I also saw some more description, but then had to walk quickly to catch up with the rest of the landing party. While looking around for the general cargo office, I caught up with the landing party just inside the outpost. The general cargo office was in the opposite direction. And who was in this landing party? Asked Gilroy. There was Fitzroy, your son, Jackson, the supply officer. Rojas, communication officer. Kilos, the navigational officer, and Upchin, the medical member of the crew. And where were you, my dear brother? Gilroy asked questionably. I was on the bridge with Kilo waiting for Jonah to get back with the vaccine. May I continue? Yes, please. I saw Fitzroy ahead of me, so I tapped him on the shoulder. I told him I had found the cargo office, but it was in the opposite direction and I would meet him back at the ship. Then I asked what he was getting, but he wouldn't tell me. Get your copies now. Available at brucebetryan.com. The Box and My Trouble Getting It.